Everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here with Painted Studios. We are back again. It has been a super busy day here at the studio. I'm very happy about that. And we have lots of fun things going on here. So we have been getting, clearly, if you're on our email list or you follow our page, you've seen that we do, hey Barbara, nice to see you. We're doing our December Advent calendar sale. Today is the 3rd day of December, therefore we're doing our 3rd product on sale. This day's product on sale is our resin art pigments for 2-part epoxies. These pigments are different than the primary elements pigments we talked about the other day. These do not dissolve in any water-based products. They're designed specifically for epoxy. So if you're not interested in epoxy, this is not going to be a fun live for you. All right, so we're going to flip down. We're going to talk about casting resin versus pouring resin. All right, let's move the camera down to the work surface here and let me catch my video live so that I can see what we're doing. Let me get to the posts. Of course, it takes a second. Great, I can see myself. That's a big deal. I just wanted to make sure because I have put a new screen protector on my camera and on my phone, and I cannot see anything at all, as a matter of fact, on this screen when I'm using it because it's got one of these stupid privacy protectors and I didn't realize that's what I bought. But okay, that's what we got. Let me turn on the comments so that I can read them. And of course, if I miss anything that anybody says, please don't hesitate to write them in the comments. And don't worry, if I miss them, I will come back and answer them. Okay, so, normally you see me pouring epoxy on things. Let me see if I got something sitting right here. Hang on a second. Let me grab this. So normally you see me pouring it on cups or doing pours similar to this, where we're pouring on a flat surface and creating an effect. Either we're pouring it clear or we're pouring it in pigments to get looks like this. But today we're going to talk about casting with resin. So you've seen me do it with some of the other ornaments that I've made, and today I have this little pile of goodies in front of me because I cast a whole bunch of epoxy yesterday just to make sure what my plan was for today would work out. So you can see this mess here, but so I just wanted to show you what that all is. And then we're gonna move on to how we made these. That was very dramatic. Look, I swept it with my arm. So first thing we're gonna do is we got to mix some epoxy. Now, we here at Painted Studio carry 2 epoxies. We carry liquid glass and we carry art resin. Now, I will tell you from casting with both of those materials. This one I cast with the liquid glass. This one I cast with the art resin. When it came out of the mold, the art resin one was softer and more flexible. This one the liquid glass came out harder, but both took the casting really nicely. And as they've been out of the mold for another 6-7 hours, the ones that were liquid glass like this and the ones that were art resin like this, these I'd say are still pretty flexible. These are art resin. These are the liquid glass right here. They're a little more brittle. They're a little stiffer. So you have options. If you want, we're going to find out in a couple days because I haven't played with this for a while. But this should harden up harder over 72 hours. This one just comes out. The liquid glass comes out harder. The art resin comes out softer, more pliable. They should harden up over time. But I think, depends on what I'm trying to do. So I think, again, if I happen to have another spare jar, most of mine are on for retail right now, I'd probably do just as much casting in the liquid glass as you're going to see me do today in the art resin. All right, I'm going to pull my sleeves back. I'm going to put on some gloves, And we're going to mix some 2-part epoxy. Now, like I said, today I'm using my art resin. I'm using it specifically because it's open and I don't have to open any other product to use it. I have no open studio containers of my liquid glass right now. I used the last of it this morning. So I'm going to mix equal parts. And we're going to mix a pretty good amount because we're going to pour a bunch of different molds. And after we do the epoxy mixing, we're going to prep the molds. Now I got to get down here and see that I'm mixing evenly. Or pouring evenly, sorry. I'm so busy concentrating on what I'm doing. I forgot my words. There we go. Now I've spent a lot of years learning to pour the way I just did, and I know I'm out of frame. So if you cannot comfortably eyeball the way I just did, don't. So I'm moving my camera around so I can see if you're getting a little better visual. You need to measure. This epoxy is a 1-to-1 mix, meaning 1 part hardener to 1 part resin. If you don't mix accurately, if you don't put enough hardener in, your epoxy might never harden properly. You'd have soft spots. It could even stay gummy. If you have too much resin and not enough hardener, that was what that result is. If you have too much hardener, it will harden up way faster than it's supposed to and might even turn into big clumps in your cup that doesn't pour properly. I've done that too. I found all these things out the hard way. So you want to scrape out every last little bit in the cup. I am working hard trying to center myself so you all can see what I'm doing. Honestly, there's a little lag when I look at my iPad, just like you guys get a lag, and so I don't always see where I am until it's a little too late. So this wants to be mixed super thoroughly. Mix, 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 and then when you think you've mixed enough, mix more. Most companies will say stir for at least 2 minutes. For art resin, once it's mixed really thoroughly, bubbles start to fly. Don't inhale the bubbles. That's epoxy you'd be breathing. And don't stir like this, trying to avoid having any bubbles in it. That doesn't give you the epoxy mixed well. You need to be aggressive in your stirring. Stir, stir, stir. And scrape and stir and make sure you get to the bottom, because if you don't get to the bottom, you might miss stuff and then you get an uneven pour, and some things will be hard, some things will be soft. You really, really, really need to mix really, really well. Okay, set that one to the side, and we're going to get a couple cups. Hi, Donna. Nice to see you here. Take that out of the way. Try not to stick my fingers in cups and make a mess of things. All right, so now my epoxy's mixed up. I have cups set to the side, but first we have to prime our molds. Now, there's this stuff that's called Universal Mold Release. It works on just about every product. It does not affect the silicone or the epoxy when you pour it. And I got some fun molds online from Amazon. So I got little molds that make these trees. So we're going to pour that. And we've got, this is a new one that arrived today, and this will do a crystal formation. These are going to do some Christmas ornaments, which I think are just as cool as can be. They're super fun. And then we're going to show you how to complete some of the others. And then I have all of these other little ones. I got some that you can just do little star-shaped ornaments. These are more cake molds, so they don't come out as shiny on the surface. They get a little matte. These are full of snowflakes. This is Christmas trees. Hi, Desiree. These are trees and deer and holly berries and candy canes. More Christmassy stuff. And like I said, I bought these on Amazon. I have some others that I've purchased and that I've got off of Etsy, but they haven't arrived other than this is my first one to arrive. This is the crystal formation. So the first thing I need to do is spray my molds. You can see that I've used them at least for one or two things. For example, I mixed up some colored epoxy and poured it in my little reindeer mold, and it came out with this reindeer indentation, which I can then fill with another color epoxy, which is what we're going to do in a little while. So first, let me take these and spray this. Okay, so we've got a bunch of molds prepped, and maybe I'll spray my little Christmas ornament star shapes, snowflake shapes. Sorry, I have to spray it away because if I spray it right in the camera, you guys get nothing but a cloud of mold release. And I don't mean mold as in penicillin growing funky mold, I mean this kind of molds. All right, so we're gonna pour a little bit in a cup here. And we're gonna pick a color. Now my pigment selections are pretty great. I've got lots and lots of colors, so I'm not picking seasonally, I'm picking because it's what I'm in the mood for. So I think we'll start with, let's see, this is Mountain Mist. And this is a bling it version of this, and so there's a lot of mica as well as pigment. Now, the recommended amount of pigment is 1/8 of a teaspoon for every ounce. I'm going to go a little light on this because I want to see what happens if I try to have it a little more transparent. And if you look in there, it's not super opaque. You can still see through it. Whereas these, I made really, really pigment dense because I wanted to see how it would release that way. So we're gonna do purple tree, I think. And you just pour it in and fill it all the way to the top. Or you can fill it as far as it goes for what you have in here. Now, I have not tried layering the colors because normally what I would do for layering would be pour, let dry, and then pour again. But we may try seeing if I can get a little extra layer of color on the bottom of that because I just used all that up anyway, so that's fine. And we're gonna mix something up to go into the crystals. I'm not gonna put it, again, I'm gonna make it really light on the pigment so that there's a little bit of translucency to it. And let's see what I'm gonna do. Let's go with our Dragon Gold. This is our Dragon Gold. Again, that's what it looks like in the jar. Looks a little brownish, but once it goes in here, and again, I'm putting much less than I normally would because I want it to be a little translucent at least. Yeah, that's got a nice translucent look to it. So I did this one in a similar color, and you can see I did it very, very opaquely. This one I'm doing translucent because I want to see how it reads when cured up. This may be great, it may look like crap. I don't know, we'll find out. Oop, that took a lot less in there than I expected, so that's done. And let's see, what else should we pour into? Well, we've got some different ornaments in here. Now, I could simply do what I don't like how that's about to work. So I'm gonna put it back in the mold just so we don't lose. As you can see, this is recessed here, and then the love is recessed down here. So I'm not liking, that's gonna cover up the hole, so I don't like how that's gonna do that one. I'm not gonna do it. I think we'll take one of our other ornaments, maybe add a little more color to it so it's a little more opaque for this. Okay, I know I might be slightly off camera for you guys because I'm starting to spread out with the molds and things laying around me. All right, so I put a little more gold in there because I wanted it more opaque. Let's move the molds out of the way so I can do this one. All right, so you can see that right here, there's a little reindeer shaped opening. Oops, hold on. Send epoxy flying across the room. That was nice of me. Now, this is gonna take patience. Go slowly. You want to fill it. You don't want to overfill. You don't have to fill it up all the way. You just want to get it in everything, all the crevices. I'm going to stop not talking because I'm trying to actually pay attention to what I'm doing to get it done correctly. And not ruin it. Get a little bit where I didn't want it. Just put a little more in. I don't want it to overflow, but I want to be a little closer to level. There we go. So we're going to let that cure into that and not put it on anything slanted so it pours out, because that would be disappointing. All right, I just sprayed those snowflakes. Hey Denise, nice to see you watching with us. All right, I'm going to pour a gold flake here. Now these I worry a little less on. If they overflow the mold, I can take them and tint them. But look how gorgeous these art resin pigments are. I love the rich colors that I get, and that metallic shine is killer. Absolutely stunning. All right, let's pick another color that I didn't use yesterday when I was making my other samples, and then I'll show you how we deal with what I've made by turning them into other things. This color is called Clementine. All right, poured some in a cup. Let me get a little mixy stick here. And I'm gonna make a nice rich pigment combo there. And I got this pretty kind of russety color out of it, but that's not all I'm going to do. I think maybe I'll add a little bit of our butterscotch color. I like that glitter bit in there from the butterscotch. Yeah, that makes a pretty color. I like that color. And let's see. Let's pour it into our Mary tree. And what I like about these deep molds like this, these cutouts are actually going to be openings through the whole casting. They provide holes for you to string up the ornament with a ribbon or a piece of string. Makes such nice looking ornaments. Now this is the one I didn't pour yesterday, so I don't have any way to show you what it comes out looking like. I just poured the two bell-shaped ones. And let's take the last little bit of this one and we can pour it in another snowflake. Like I said, if I pour a little messy on these, I don't worry too much because I can trim it with an X-Acto knife and stuff after it's cured up. And I do that frequently because sometimes these little spots, they're pain, and not everything can be handled as quickly and smoothly as something like that. It'll take a little more work. Let's see. I'm gonna try something. I'm just gonna pour this into the tip of this guy, and then maybe we'll mix another color and pour in the rest. I don't know what's gonna happen. It could swirl, it could mix, it could end up like a layered cocktail. I don't know. We're gonna find out. Because why not? Either way, it's gonna end up looking pretty interesting, so I'll be good with it. Alrighty, come on, come out of there. Almost gone. There we go. All right, we have this left, and I have a whole bunch of molds, and I think what I'd really like to do is mix a bunch of blue. And I'm going to do our Belize blue, which is a gorgeous, rich, ultramarine kind of blue. Somewhere between cobalt and ultramarine, I think. We're going to try one scoop because that should make it well colored, but maybe a little translucent, not completely opaque. Yeah, a little bit of translucency in it. That'll be fun. All right, let's see what happens when I don't know how this is going to work. It could end up swirled, it could end up layered. I don't know. We're going to find out. I'm just going very gently, trying not to disturb the base color. Let's see, I don't actually have that much left, so I'm not going to use those molds. I'm just going to see if I can fill up the rest of this guy. Okay, set that over there. I might need to put a little paper under there to level it. I did that before. This one just wants to sit ever so slightly crooked. So to get it to sit level, I had to kind of do a matchbook kind of thing or prop it against a cup, which is done over to the side there, right over here. All right, let's use the last of this in an ornament. Okay, and get the little more could fit in here. All right, and I'm gonna go make sure this is propped against a cup too, just so it doesn't tip. But these are what our gorgeous art resin pigments can do. I mean, look how pretty this made these things. Now, where did I put it? Here's my torch. So I'm gonna have to torch everything that I just poured, even though it's in a mold. So I need to do this. Quick little torch in there. These are silicone molds, so they can handle the heat. And then when it's a mold like this, you might have to walk away from it and come back and torch it again a second time in a few minutes, because you have depth with these, meaning that you have more than the standard 1/8 inch that this stuff levels out to on its own. And you have to then have more bubbles possibly rising up, so you might want to check it, watch it, make sure that you've got everything bubble free. Okay. And as you can see, I'm moving things slowly and carefully to get them off the camera angle so that we can work on some other things right here. But I think I need to change the paper out because, yeah, there's a mess here. Now, let's see if I can pull. I'm just gonna go get a fresh piece of paper, because if I start pulling paper, it's gonna be like a bad tablecloth trick and everything's gonna spill. I just know that's what's gonna happen. I can see it. Call me Swami, call me prescient, call me I've done it before. So let me pull this out of the way, get a fresh piece of paper. I'll be right back. There is fresh paper under here, but I just know if I pull it, it's gonna send everything flying. So it's just better if I put down a fresh piece of paper. Okay, clear a little more space. Get another mold out of the way. Thing. You can see it's kind of gummy on top of this paper. It doesn't even want to move. All right. And those will be able to be pulled out of the molds first thing tomorrow. All right, so let's deal with some of this. So clearly some of these pieces have extra bits in there. So there's a couple ways of handling them. You can snip them apart with scissors, but you don't always get a clean line. My way to do it is to take an X-Acto knife and score through it. And I take my time, because rushing only ends up ruining stuff. Let's see how we are here. Yep. There we go. Just want to get that little bit off. And if you have a little bit of a rough edge, you can sand it. This stuff does sand with sandpaper, no problem. Now, the sooner you do this trimming after you have done the molds release, the better. Because the stiffer this gets, the harder the trimming is going to be. And it's at full cure in 72 hours, which means it's going to be much harder than it is right after you pull it out of the mold. So I've cleaned up, these are cameos. And where did, I have like a million things around me, par for the course. And then I misplaced the one thing I need at this moment. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. These are little cameos, but you can't see the details in them because the molds are very complex, and then we have the shimmer added to them from the primary elements. So I'm going to take a little bit of artsyville foil adhesive on a little brush, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to put a tiny little bit on the face and on the details of the cameo itself. And you'll see why in a little bit. After I finish cleaning up the other things, I'll show you what that's doing. We're gonna flash gild this a little bit just to pop up the details. You know, you could do all the work to cast for the details and then you can't see them. That's not any good. So we're gonna make sure you can see the details. That. And we have a couple of these little things that we were casting in the smaller molds early. We have a couple, we have a lot. There's lots of little embellishment ideas. Now you can adhere these to wooden pieces or pieces of paper. You can use them for any kind of decorative little detail. Personally, I find that when I cast anything with a face, I usually come back in with a little adhesive so I can flash gild it so you can actually see the details of the face. Because molds that small, it's really easy to lose the detail. All right, this is a little Santa face, I think. It's really hard to see. We have a couple of reindeer and a little sleigh, and like I said, these details are from cake decorating molds. So you could also use these if you were somebody like my friend Heather, who does these cool ornaments that look like desserts, but they're made out of inedible things. And all these little molds, she could cast lots of cool stuff in these little candy molds or little cake decorating molds to add to her decoration on her ornaments. For all I know, she does, because she's in Texas and I'm not. And you'll have to change out your knife blade fairly regularly because, you know, you're cutting through plastic. It dulls the blade. I'm trying to cut out the little arch inside the umbrella. Inside the candy cane. That's the hard one, right in here. But I got it. Probably have to clean this up a little bit. Need a little sandpaper in a couple spots. Let's see. Very, very teeny tiny candy cane. And most of our Christmas trees are pretty good. I managed to be a little more controlled in the pouring, but then again, they were slightly larger, so I didn't have a lot of problems there. Oh, here's a little Christmas present, so I've got to clean that up. And yes, you get to sit and watch me trim this because we need to let that foil adhesive cure up a little bit before I show you how that works with the ornaments with the faces on them. Besides, I gotta do this. I don't know what I'm putting these on, but or if I'm going to just wire them together to make ornaments and drill holes and stuff. We'll find out. Who knows? But I just love these colors. This color that we cast the sleigh in and the little trees and the presents and the little reindeers like this. This color is red plum. It's a very purpley red. So I love how this would look, and I could kind of create an ornament by drilling from the top of the tree down here, and then I could string up my little sleigh, and I could put a reindeer, and I could have Santa, and I could even have an elf, a gift. I could just create ways to string all of this through here, because this is now completely drillable with a drill, and I will show you, we'll do that shortly. I just gotta finish cleaning up this stuff first. Oh, that one's okay. This one needs to be trimmed. Be careful with when you're using an X-Acto. For those who are not, this is as sharp as any surgical knife, so you can really do damage. I was in college and I had a cast on my wrist because I'd hurt my wrist. Scars, that's what the scar's from. And I was cutting something and somebody called my attention, and I looked away and the knife went across the tip of my finger, cut in here, cut through my fingernail. I still have numb spots on my finger from it. So pay attention when you're using tools like this to what you're doing. This is not a toy for, this is not a knife for kids to use. Although I will tell you, I think I bought my own first set of X-Acto knives when I was 12, and I paid for it with my own money, and my parents said, fine. And when you take off a fingertip, don't come to us. And it wasn't until 8 years later, I was 20 when I did this, and I did it at college. So, well, it was under my parents' roof I didn't cut my fingers off. It was when I was left to my own devices. Okay. I'm just cleaning up the little spots of the overpours as well as the big spots of overpour. Of course, if you're more coordinated pourer than I am, you don't have any of this stuff to clean up. But you just watch me pour, so sometimes I'm very controlled. Sometimes I get a little out of control. Let's clean up this one. This one could take me a while, so I might just do only part of this and save the rest of it for not forcing you all to watch. There. Let's cut through at the bottom. Let's not cut through there. There we go. knife skills not too bad with an X-Acto knife in a small space. Just don't ask me to chop 100 carrots in a kitchen like they do on Top Chef. That's a completely different knife skill. So we're going to set that aside. Let's see if that's dry enough. Not yet. I'll tell you what, we'll drill one of these to make it an ornament first. And here we go. So I'm going to take a drilling block. I'm going to shift all this back. Got a drill block here. All right. And I have my drill. Now, I never have liked using battery operated drills. I know some people like them. First of all, I think they're awkward and heavy and badly balanced. And, hang on a sec, let me plug this in. Because they're battery operated, they never seem to have enough torque when I need it. Oh, look, I gotta go quickly flame a couple things over here, torch them. Sometimes bubbles rise while we're working on our next thing on those deep molds, and I'm fine with that. Now I am seeing some of these colors that I poured in the deep molds kind of bloom up through each other, and that's pretty cool looking actually. All right, now I don't know if my drills are long enough, my drill bits are long enough to go through this all the way. And I'm gonna have to say that's a no. I can get close. Let's try to see if I got one that is long enough that it's also thin enough so it won't break this. I'm gonna give this, a shot. This is gonna be a tough one because this may not work. That's all right. It's my first experiment. I know I may have to come in through the bottom as well, but my goal is to get as close to the bottom as possible and then be able to fill it. All right, slowly. See, there's gonna be a slow thing. Yep, that's too big because it's not gonna wanna let me get into the tip there. So let's start with a smaller drill bit. I knew that could be the case. There's always one that starts off well and ends up being the throwaway. Oh, I unplugged it. Why isn't my drill working? Because I knocked it out of the plug. That's a bad plug, that's why it's been done. There we go. Very good, that worked. Now there's a couple ways you could do this. You could get a little eye-ring and screw it down in, and then that creates a place for you to be able to tie your ornament off. Or we're gonna try this. This may or may, like I said before, it may or may not work. Drilled through, and we even got our little spot marked on the bottom. That's even better. So now we have a hole from the top through to the bottom, and you can get a needle or something along those lines, run a wire from top to bottom. There's lots of ways to do this. Now, for smaller items like this, if I want to be able to wire them or put jump rings in or something like that, jump rings are those loops that you see on necklaces and things that hold the catch onto the chain. So you can just take a little drill like this. And you're putting little holes in things so that you can drill them. You can do this, you can set this up so that you can have staggered sizes of trees hanging down. So you can go from large to small to smallest. Let's make sure I put this someplace so it's not going to crack it. Oops, I got my hand on there wrong. Doing this is why I put a drill press on my Christmas list for Santa. Santa, all I want for Christmas is a drill press, which is a machine that holds the drill and lowers it directly down instead of having to hold it like I'm doing this way. Okay. So think of how fun it would be if I hung this tree and then I just did a little waterfall of other trees underneath it. Okay. If I did that with that, just a little waterfall of trees underneath it would be awfully cute. And then up on the top, I could anchor it with a bow up there. How cute is that? Now, I'm not doing this right now. I have all these other items that are cast, and eventually I will have a completed set of all of this cleaned out and ready to go. So this is just another use for our resin art. Pull the jar out. Our resin art. What are they called? Resin art luster pigments for epoxy. Again, these are only for epoxy. They do not dissolve in water-based product. Don't try this. If you want to put it in a top coat, you need to use our primary elements. But today, until 11:59 tonight, these are all 25% off. That is a heck of a deal. So definitely go check out the website, paintedstudio.com. Go look and see what looks interesting to you. All right, let me turn the camera this way. Let's flip this up. All right, let me go take a quick look at the comments and see if I missed anything. I'm sorry, Mar, I know you could see, everybody was able to see some of what was going on because I was able to get it in the center. Can't see my right hand yet. And now you're looking at the top of my head. Sorry, I'm looking down. Again, I just put a new screen on my phone, and it can distort for me what I'm seeing up there, and so I'm trying to catch it down on my screen in front of me, and there's a slight lag. So be a little patient with me as I figure these things out. I try not to do that off to the side, but apparently I was doing it quite a bit. So I hope you all are having a great day. If you get a chance, use that little button that's right down there, the sprinkle button. Sprinkle the love around, and we will be back tomorrow with tomorrow's special sale product. Again, we are doing a sale on one product a day from December 1st through December 24th. There's no combining these specials. It is that day. If you see that product and you want it, that day is the day to grab it. Thank you, Desiree. I appreciate the fact that you understand that I'm trying to work things out. It's still just a challenge, when it's just me. If I had somebody else here to operate the camera, I would always be in frame. But because it's me operating the camera at the same time I'm doing the painting stuff, it's just me making mistakes trying to figure out how to keep them in the camera frame. All right, everybody, keep your eye out. We've posted the calendar, the Advent calendar, to our Facebook page and to our Instagram page. And if you're on our email list, you have received it in an email, so you're well in advance which products we have in sale. But of course, I will post a picture of the calendar of sale again. Today's product is our Resin Art epoxy pigments, pigments for epoxy only. And we hope that you had some fun watching what I was doing even when I was out of the frame. I apologize. All right, everybody, have a great day. Bye-bye.